it's very exciting when you think about having the solutions and where we are and what's going on, and to hear the story and the countdown to 2030. And all of us realize that we're here to accomplish different goals in different ways, but it's with the bigger picture in mind. Because all of us are doing something in the fashion world, and it all revolves around something that ends up coming from the earth, whether it's the polyester that comes there, or the grazing with the goats, or the cotton that is grown, trees that are grown. So it is about planetary boundaries and the things that we have and the resources we have. So we're going to be talking about that for just a little bit. And I'm going to talk just a few minutes about shaping the future. But where I want us to focus is some of the words that we've chosen to use for our conference, and that is united by action. And it's all of us are doing good things. When you look at everyone that's in this room, everyone here is doing a great thing. And it's also about accelerating and knowing that we can do things in a very positive, proactive way. And so that's what we want to make sure we learn from each other. I just want to reinforce that this is what our mission is about. I've kind of highlighted the action words and the action verbs. So it is about inspiring and equipping. And so that's, those are the filters by which we operate. Are we inspiring people by case studies and stories? Just like you've heard from this morning, there are things happening. The snow leopards, that just gives me goosebumps to think that, the responsible grazing and the availability that's there, and the harmonization of people working in harmony with, wildlife that's in the area. So that's a good thing, of the balance and the biodiversity, that we are on a timetable. And when we started this 25 years ago or longer ago about creating this awareness, we're like, of course, we're going to build biodiversity in the soil. Of course, we're going to use crop rotation. Of course. And those are very simple things in some ways that still don't have broad-scale adoption. And so it is about uniting the message and taking more action. So the other word in our theme this year is accelerating. So that's exactly what we want to do. And talk about inspiring stories. Yesterday during the Organic Cotton Roundtable, we heard from Dressman, and that the fact that they, within 2 years, are now the largest users of fair trade organic cotton. They went from nothing of a cotton strategy 2 years ago in 2016 to totally going there in 2018. You need to visit with them and check that out, because if they can do it, you can do it too. It's talk about a strategy. It's working with your supply network. So these are things that can change. There are inspiring stories all over this room. And by being here, you are getting equipped. So this is where you can learn things and make things happen. And I thought it was so great that, of course, we're here in the fashion capital of the world, and it was great to have Helen be here to, reinforce all the wonderful things that are happening in Italy as well. So it's so rewarding to think about, going back to values and bringing products. So that is both inspiring and equipping us so that we are minimizing the harmful impacts and maximizing the positive. So the next thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about the numbers. Helen talked about this too, is that you're not working alone. You're with your peers, you're with others in the industry that have the same passion and caring. And so it is about, did I mess up something? No. Okay, there it is. And so it is about being together and having the action. So when we've got two different fiber challenges going on right now, there's the RPET commitment, and then there's also the 2025 Sustainable Cotton Challenge. You're going to be hearing about both of those more later today, and there's breakout sessions for that. And it's so exciting because, for example, we had 100% of the companies that signed up for the for the Cotton Challenge participated in reporting out their cotton utilization. It's taking action, it's making commitment. And what is inspiring to me is the fact that many of these companies a year ago were having a token program. And by that, I mean, check, I've got a fair trade yoga line. Check, I've got an organic baby line. Check, I've got a Cotton Made in Africa project. And they were token programs. And now we have companies that are going deep and having corporate strategies that go across their organization. And to me, it's a huge step. and knowing that, again, we have the solution. So we have over 100 companies that are making corporate level, not just a sourcing team or a person that's carrying the torch, and we definitely need the torchbearers, but 100 companies that have committed to fiber challenges. We're going to be launching one, it's already in the works, for transitional cotton and cotton in conversion. So be thinking about how, we're not going to have these changes and put more farmers and more organic matter back in the soil, or even the, the grazing piece. It's so exciting to see how responsible grazing is changing the carbon equation. We also have, again, 813 companies registered for this week to be with us from 43 different countries. And so this is this cross-pollination of, it's not just one place where this is happening. It's truly a community of people that are working together. So I just thought that looking at a few of the numbers was kind of fun for us this morning. The other thing I wanted to share is that we have some key programs and projects that I want to make sure you're aware of, that you're listening for. There's breakouts that are happening there. The central database and shared measurement system, when we talk about connecting as a community, connecting and communication about the SDGs, you'll hear more about the threading the report in just a few minutes. But having that common language to say, hey, our community is making this impact on water. Our community is making this impact on land. Our community is making this impact on people's lives and places that they're going. So having the common language, so you're going to hear more about the central database and the shared measurement system. We are taking a strong stand on the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the common language of giving us something concrete that they're working toward. And the fact that we're, 12 years away, it's counting down. And so not only do we have these solutions, but we must take action. And this is the whole theme that we're going to be really working on. We're also having growth in standards, because if you're not making meaningful change, then why bother? And so standards are a way for our community to act together to establish a best practice. And then 2 years from now, best practices are going to evolve. It's continuous improvement. So get involved in the standards that we have, and there's new standards in development and review. So we're very excited. Anne's working on the Responsible Leather program. I know that we're looking at our current Responsible Wool standard to see what that looks like in order to have a herding module that's added to that in order to create more solutions. We also have a set of gifted standards from the Control Union that cover things from the organic latex standard to looking at sustainable fiber more broadly and non-GMO. So there's several different standards that will be going through public review that will ask you to join us. And then the benchmarking program is huge, and you're going to hear more about that from Liesl. And so this program is a voluntary option for brands to report all their fiber use. And in so doing, you can get a picture of where you are in the landscape and what you need to do, where your strengths are, where there's action items. And of course, we would encourage you to get involved in one of the round tables, because that's where the traction is happening on the ground. And so I'm just going to say another thing about the Sustainable Development Goals, because you're going to hear about them. It is truly, as you get into them, there's like 17 of them, and you're like, whoa, it's too complicated, it's too this, it's too that. But the bottom line is there are opportunities for us in this. And it was fun. We did an activity a couple years ago around organic cotton. And literally, when you address strong communities and resilient communities, you're stopping the migration to the cities. So when you talk about investing in where we're getting our raw materials and resources, we're going to have influences in all of these. Of course, we're going to focus on some. And you're going to hear more about that. This is the common language. This is how we can start talking about the positive changes that we're doing. I was actually talking to John Mabry yesterday, and he was talking about some of the multi-chain and multifaceted retailers that are selling food and greeting cards and tires and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting to say that we as an industry are taking action. There's more things happening around in fashion, and us taking responsibility for what we can change. And so we are certainly leaders in this room for our community. We are leaders and influencers of all the other industries that are around us. And so having the Sustainable Development Goals as a way to communicate our accomplishments and our impacts is going to be really important.